all those random things like would have happened had I not opened a cafe, and like had I not gotten like 12 hours a day cooking experience, for a couple of years. Because it's like I learned a lot, but there's really, and being a chef is a great example. There's something about like being in a profession, whether it's you're starting your own business and you're doing entrepreneurship, or you're a chef and just being in the kitchen, in the office or whatever, just working for hours a day, day after day, for months or years, it's like there's a proficiency that goes along with that gives you a confidence, and it's like it also teaches you how to work through things, and like you can translate it to other professions or other areas of life. And so it's like when you're putting in work, especially like, and you're doing it the right way and starting with a good plan, it's gonna teach you things and like give you competencies that you can use in every other area of your life or multiple other areas.
I actually have a good example for this one, because when you and I started this podcast, you and I already had a couple different businesses that we had already started prior to.
Yeah.
Not together, but in our own times.
Yeah, we're
And we, like any business, we came up with our business plan, the idea, started to formulate the whole structure. And to be extra sure, I pointed out, I said, let's get a hold of a course that teaches us, kind of walking through the, how to make a successful podcast.
Yeah.
And then little do I know, as we were going through it, I just kept looking at you and I'm like, we did that.
Yeah, we've already done
We
all
did
this.
that.
Yeah.
We did that. We talked about that. We already know this. And before we knew it, it became almost kind of boring. And I'm not going to say which course it was, but it was good information. My point was, you and I had already gone through so much of the literally building a business from scratch in other industries. It didn't have to be podcast specifically. That by the time it came down to just starting this podcast, even though we weren't in the podcast industry, it was pretty well aware as to what we needed to do to build a successful brand. And get off on the right foot.
Yeah, we're
and at least have the structure there in order to get recognized once the momentum starts to hit.
Yeah, but that being said, it's like we also have learned so much from this process that I feel like is going to translate to every other business that I start or manage or whatever from here on out too.
Exactly. Just as a side one, for everybody out there who feels like they're stuck working jobs that they don't want, and they keep thinking how they should be in the entrepreneur lifestyle, let me tell you this. I've made a comment to you several times. You and I met each other through the event management / brand ambassador industry.
Yeah, promotional marketing.
Whereas a whole lot of setting things up. Not just that, but that's a big part of the job in many ways. I almost always, I didn't necessarily hated that part of the job, but depending on the job, sometimes there's a lot of heavy things, a hot day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very well organized. It depends.
Yeah.
That being said, I almost never really appreciated me doing those things. I just kind of went through the motions and just continued and just moved on. In the last few months, how many times have I brought it up to you how nice it is that we can get all of our equipment, set it up, tear it down in a very quick manner.
Yeah.
No matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah.
And I know why we're able to do this, because we've been doing this for like 10, 15 years for other companies.
Yeah, doing that, but also it's like the fact that we, know how to edit videos, and, it's like you make music, so like you can make songs, and, like we know how to get someone to create a logo for us. We could make our own logo, but it's like if you even like spend $5-10, you can get someone who specializes in.
So delegation. Why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, delegation is a big part, and that's something I'm like really working on. I'm gonna be hiring an assistant in the next few months, just because like I have too many tasks to do where it's just like it's not super creative. I can just pay someone to do it. Just give them a list of things.
Busy work.
So.
Not busy work. obvious work, things that are just like,
And some of it, it's like it's gonna require. It's like it requires thoughtful work. You know, it's you can't just like post something like, or like write an email and like thoughtlessly. It's like you really have to think it out and address it specifically to the situation and the person, and like talking in terms that are going to be effective for that person. And like there's multiple layers to all these interactions, but if you have someone who gets it and who's a thoughtful person and like have a good connection with, and like you really can show them how to do the job, like you can multiply your effectiveness just like so many times by however many people you hire, and it's just managing people is a very, is a skill, and like it's a very, important skill, and some that it's like really tough for a lot of people. It's like one of those personality things. Like,
well, I could say this: it's a skill like anything, so you can grow into it.
Yeah.
And I can say it's one that you kind of want to grow into.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't want to put that aside, even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Learning how to manage people, you want to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the books I recommend, actually everyone read, but one of the books I recommend most often is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be the Robert Greene one.
Oh no.
How to influence.
Or Laws of Influence or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to double check exactly the name of it, but Robert Greene, great author.
Yeah, Dale Carnegie. It's basically like a manual for like being a better person. But Think and Grow Rich is good too. But like How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's really like personal interactions. I feel like that's one of the best books. Like just the starting place. There's countless others, but if you haven't read that or like are looking to improve your people skills, like that's a great place to start.
Dope.
But yeah,
We'll put the plug in there.
Word.
Anything else you'd like to add on to that last point?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that you learn how to work with people, but it's also very important that you choose the right people. If you're going to hire someone for your organization, like don't hire someone just because they're your friend. You probably shouldn't hire family. It's you really got to hire the right person for the job, and so someone who has like the interest and the availability. Because like you could try to hire someone who's like an expert, but they're probably going to be expensive and they're probably going to be super busy, because everyone's going to want their time. So, it's like finding the right people and finding someone who can grow into a position is crucial.
So off of that point, I run a company with my mother.
Word.
And in 99% cases, I would say exactly what you said, which is be very careful about working with family members.
Yeah, or spouses. I opened a cafe with my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at the time, and it worked out great. It's like it's one of those things that can be a very dicey situation, and it's really got to be dependent on the personalities too. Because if especially if it's two people who want to be the leader, like that's probably not going to work out, especially with your family.
No, which is why our partnership works out.
Yeah, and I see that.
So my mother and I do exactly what the other one is not doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that yin and the yang.
Yeah,
we're well aware of this. We know exactly what we each bring to the table.
Yeah,
we've assessed the skills and what we're each supposed to focus on, and it's clean cut. What I would say is this: we definitely, for anybody out there who is starting a business or has been working a business with their family members, I would say you're going to have to treat that situation with extra care. I'm not saying you don't treat your other business relationships with care. This one is you're going to have to be extra aware, because you will find the circumstances, like any situation, where you will not agree on something, or you won't want to do things the same way as each other, which is, I guess, the same thing as not agreeing. But you need to weigh it out. Is it worth it for you to throw it down and start something, or keep the relationship intact in a healthy way? Because in this situation, it's my mom, literally.
No, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, do you want to crack the whip on the company ideology and make us all push ourselves to, whatever?
No.
Or do you want to have a good relationship with your mom at the end of the day?
Yeah, and you want to have fun, Like, if I started a company with my mom, I really don't give a shit about anything except for having fun, And, like, I'm going to tell my mom she's doing great. It's just...
That's what I'm saying.
Because my mom... but that's also the personality dynamic that we have, It's like, I feel like she wouldn't do well if I was not being encouraging or, like, cracking the whip, like... But some people like thrive under that. It's a rare person, but like some people, it's like you kind of have to like knock them down a few times to like give them a challenge.
Well, and for the record, my mom knows I'm kind of a hard ass.
Yeah.
When it comes down to running a business. And so there's been a couple times where I kind of came hard, and she took it quite well, meaning she didn't get bitter about it. She didn't get all nasty. We just got right back to work. And there's been times where I've apologized for how I came across.
Yeah.
And we've kind of had our differences. And so all I'm saying is, all right, thanks for watching this clip from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch the full episode, go ahead and check out us at appropriateculture.com. You can also check us out on the social media platforms at Appropriate Culture. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.